Good morning, listeners. This is Lori, and this is my corner as a part of DJ's Downtime. And I thank you for tuning in and listening. Today's guest is Melika Miller. Hello, Melika.
Hello, Lori. How are you doing?
She is a singles ministry leader, a singer and songwriter, and the author of the book 40 Years a Virgin, which is definitely a controversial title for a controversial subject, which we're going to dig into in just a little bit. But let's just kind of get to know Melika, you, a little bit. So I did read the back of the cover, and so you've been a disciple 23 years?
I'm 24 now. My
24.
spiritual birthday is July 5th. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so that's a long time to be in the ministry. Has it all been happy and glowy and, peaches and cream?
No, ma'am. Jesus said that there will be troubles, and that's his statement. And I've experienced troubles, but also experienced blessings and fun and, life to the fullest, like he also said. So I've had a mixture of both.
Yes, definitely. I love it. It reminds me of the Psalms where we talk about where we're in the hills and the valleys, where there's a little bit of everything in that walk with God. So, well, that's good. So do you have any favorite authors or songwriters or singers that have kind of inspired you?
Well, songwriting came right to my mind instantly. So my favorite, and this may not be some other people's favorite, but I love Mariah Carey. Mariah Carey has been someone I've studied for years, since I was like 12 or 13 when she first came out with her CD, when she first came out. And I used to take the CD or the tape at that time,
right,
and the back part of it and just open it up and just read it and to learn how to construct songs. And so she's really my first teacher on how to write songs and write it based on what I'm feeling in my own emotions, because that was my therapy as a 12-year-old or 13-year-old, and not realizing that's what I was doing. And so she really taught me a lot. I can't wait to meet her one day and let her know how much I love her. Really.
Wouldn't that be wonderful? We'll just have to keep that in our prayers on your bucket list.
Yes.
All right. What about authors or songwriters?
Lately, Lori, I've been into biographies, like people writing about their lives. I love Brene Brown's book on Daring Greatly. So she is an amazing writer. I love her research and everything about vulnerability and about just basically learning how to be open and honest with who you are as a person. And shame. She talked a lot about shame in her studies. So I love a lot of that. But I also finished reading, like, right now I'm reading Tabitha Brown's book, her life. I finished listening to, and I did an audible because I've been doing audibles too. So listening to this other author, her name is, and she did an amazing job. Oh, I can't remember her name right offhand, but her last name was Mosk or something like that. But I can't remember right offhand, but it was an amazing book. I have to get it to you later. But it was a really good book. It was about coming out of cocoon and being fully who you are.
I like that.
The name, she wrote the book Secret Lives of Bees.
Oh yeah.
Her last name.
Think of her name. Of course, we're gonna be done, and I'm gonna be like, that's her name.
Last name is Monk. Susan Monk.
Okay.
Her last name is Monk. Yeah.
Okay.
And so that book,
I love that.
Yeah.
That was an amazing book.
Yes.
Very much enjoyed that too. So maybe I like to kind of do a little fun thing with everybody what's maybe a fun, small fact about you that isn't really well known? What's something quirky or just different that people just don't know about you? What can we share?
I got a lot about that. I'm goofy by nature, Lori, just letting you know.
I love it.
So well, most of my friends know that I'm the third oldest out of 8 children. And so most of them know that. If they're really close to me, they know I always talk about my family. But some of them may not know, unless you're really, really close to me. I grew up in Arkansas, but my grandparents were farmers. And so we used to go to their house all the time and help with the cows, help with the hogs, help with the slopping the hogs and stuff like that. Or my favorite memory growing up was us getting on the back of the truck and picking sweet potatoes, me and my cousins and stuff like that, getting down in the dirt. So I grew up tomboyish around dirt and everything like that. It was just, one story. My granddaddy used to have this, have us doing chores and stuff. And one of the chores we had to do was sweep the dirt in front of the house. And I'm like, why am I sweeping the dirt in front of the house? It's dirt. But that was something that's confusing to me. But the reason why was because, the chickens and the ducks and things will walk around. And so they'll have the doo-doo that was there or whatever. So you sweep it away, And so I have a lot of stories.
I love it. I love it. I had a brother who's since passed, but he had a place up in Montana that I spent a lot of my summers. I'm a California beach girl, and very city girl. But in my summers, I would go to his ranch up in Montana and loved it. Learned how to drive up there, learned how to ride horses, do that kind of more country thing, and I feel like it definitely rounded out my life and my character and definitely gave me different life experiences than the city girl from Orange County,
Yeah.
So, yeah. Wonderful. Okay. So let's just dig in right now, because this book is, just by the title alone, is controversial, is really kind of in your face and saying, pay attention to me. I have something to talk with you about, So who would you say your audience is?
Well, I wrote the book because I was listening to this podcast, and a couple of younger girls who are around 20s, around 25, so whatever, they were asking how to live this life in a pure way and dating and stuff like that as a Christian. And I was like, as I was listening to it, I started feeling convicted, because I'm like, I've lived this life and I've been a disciple since I was 23, and doing it without having sex. So I'm like, okay, sounds like something that they want to learn how to do. And I'm like, I got to write this book to speak to that audience, because I have a responsibility. I felt responsible to write about my life in order to help probably guide my young sisters who are in their 20s or even teens, or even people who may have been married and divorced or separated or whatever they may want to question, am I doing this right before God? And I feel like that's my responsibility to write this book for them.
Yes. So outside of responsibility, and you get intimate in your book, what would you say really outside of that inspired you to be so transparent and vulnerable?
I think, to be really blunt, honest, tired of the world telling people that they cannot live this life like this. Tired of people who are also virgins and in their 40s being embarrassed or shamed because they're waiting to have sex until they get married. Tired of looking at media saying that there is something wrong with you if you're not having sex with multiple people. I'm fed up with that. And I'm like, enough is enough. We have to have a voice.
Yes.
No, it's time out. I can't be silent anymore. I can't
Right.
be on the sideline looking at the world media videos and magazines, everything, telling these kids, telling these teenagers that if you decide to wait to have sex till you get married, there's something that's wrong with you.
Ugh,
That's
I,
not right, Lori. That's
no,
not right.
it's not. Um, you know, you and I were getting to know each other a little bit before the interview, and I was sharing some of my past and talking with you about, you know, some of the book and how it affected me personally. But I would say my favorite theme in the book, and it was something that I just hadn't even really made that delineation before, but was the idea that there's a difference between virginity, abstinence versus purity.
Yes, ma'am.
Can you just talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. I decided to make that distinction because before studying the Bible and I was going to church and different things like that, allowing guys to touch me in different ways or putting myself in positions that I didn't know wasn't right. Even though in my conscience, the conscience is a part of God that speaks to us, giving us warnings if we listen. Hey, don't do that. Don't go
Yes.
there. Be careful. You know what I
Yes.
mean? And I think all of us, because we're all created in God's image, have that sense of voice in us to tell us right from wrong. But it's if we listen or not, right? So for me, I listened sometimes and I came to certain points and then God would like put a fear in me to say, no, don't go there, And I think once I studied the Bible, once I understood what the scriptures said about purity, the sexual morality, fornication, and all those different things, then it was more clear to me that there was a distinguished difference.
Right.
How God has told us to live our lives. Growing up
Yeah.
in church, no one explained that to me. I didn't really read the Bible. And so it's like I just went based on what people around me were doing, but saying that they were Christians, or what the media was saying and saying that it was okay. But once I read the scriptures and understood what Jesus was saying, what the Bible was saying in general, what it means to follow him and be a Christian, I'm like, hold up, I'm not doing this right. Let me change this. Let me repent. And that's
Yeah.
why I made that distinction.
Yeah. I really was grateful for that. And as I said, it was probably one of my favorite parts of the book because I don't feel like even in today's society where we're supposedly more free and talking about things, I don't think there's still taboo subjects and there's still things that we hide and we don't talk about. And that of course is the nature of sin. It wants to be in the dark and keep those secrets and full of shame and all of that. And I think that your book kind of helps people say, okay, we're taking this out of the darkness, we're exposing it to some light, and here's my thoughts and my take on it. And that was very, very powerful to me, and I'm sure anyone else who will be reading it. Curious, why did you choose self-publishing versus, one of the more traditional ways?
Well, after doing some research, and I'm open because I'm open to traditional ways because I write another book later on. But I think for my first book, doing the research, I wanted to have the publishing rights. I wanted to be my own.
Yes.
I wanted to belong to me and not to someone else to make it according to what they think it would be and what it would sound like. And so, and as an artist, as a musician, I know the importance of publishing your own things and you keeping your publishing rights and your music and different things like that. So I transferred that ideal into writing a book,
Yes.
and so that's why.
That's good. So that would definitely be a high. Were there any lows in the process of self-publishing, or what was maybe one of the struggles that you didn't expect?
Well, I think one of the lows was all the getting the whole picture together. Like you're responsible for the the first part of the book, the cover of the book,
The cover.
back of the book. You're responsible for the layout of the book. How does it look? So all of the details of it was a lot, which I didn't take into account, you know. And I, as an artist, again, I am not signed to a label, or so I'm an independent artist. So as an independent artist, you're still responsible for the cover of your album. You're responsible for all those things. So I should have known that as a self-publishing person with the book, but it just didn't transfer over into that idea, you know. And even when it comes to marketing, Lori, so marketing is harder too, like as self-publishing, because you're doing the marketing. Same thing as an artist, you're doing the marketing for your music as an independent artist. And it's all about word of mouth. So that's a lot of how I've been doing my business in general, you know, as an artist, as a counselor, as Arthur, every part of it is about word of mouth anyway.
Yes. I'm really glad you brought some of that up, because that's what my partner EJ and I are trying to do, is help people do that without having all the trappings of the larger. We want to honor that fact that people want to own what they're doing.
Yeah.
But even in that, there's some assistance that's necessary and very helpful.
Yeah.
And so that's what EJ and I try to do. And that's what we're doing with EJ's Downtime and Lori's Corner. We're doing these interviews. We're trying to help those self-published artists and authors get out there and be successful at it. So I really want to say thank you for being a part of that process with us, so that we can say, come on board with us, you know, come join us, because this is fun and it's worth it.
Yeah.
And I know when I remember, I don't know about you, but remember the night I did it on New Year's Eve. And at midnight, when the ball dropped, I clicked the self-publish button.
Wow.
And I was like, oh gosh, I did it, you know, and it felt so surreal and so amazing, you know. And then when the first book, you know, gets purchased and all that stuff, that's all yours. And it's amazing. I don't know about you, but I just love that part of it. It's my story and it's me. And there's such a gratification and just a surrealness about the whole experience when it really is from beginning to end, all yours.
Yeah. But on my side, from my experience, since this book is very personal, I was scared releasing the book, because, and I had to pray a lot. I'm like, God, are you sure you want me to do this? You really want me to do this? Like, Daddy, I don't know about this. You know, so it took for me to, like, even though I knew he wanted me to do this, I just kept pressing past that fear to that point of, okay, I'm gonna release this, Lord. Okay, now what people gonna say? Oh my gosh, they're gonna know all my business. Oh,
yes,
Lord.
they are.
You know, so I was feeling all of that, but then I said, okay, whatever. It had to boil down to, okay, whatever. It's done.
Yeah, like it's done. Okay, God, I did it. I did what you asked me to do.
I'm done.
Oh man, it's all on you now, God. Well, I appreciate your courage and your faith to speak up, to be a voice, to be a person that says, let's be transparent, let's be vulnerable, let's be real.
Yeah.
And so thank you for doing that. Thank you for being a part of my show. What might be next for you? You said you're working on another book. Is it, what, do we have a subject matter?
Well, I have 2 different books that I have started working on, right? So the second book is more like my memoirs about my story, my journey in my walk, and how my life is connected so much to my spiritual walk and so much to seeing the evidence of God in my life. And so the book is basically about that, seeing the evidence of God. One of my favorite books, and I forgot to mention this earlier, when I was in grad school, I had to read a book by Teresa of Avila. And I forgot the name of it, but it was more of a mystical book, like she's a mystic. And so in my book, it's more of leaning towards that mystic perspective, because I believe God reveals himself in different avenues and areas of my life. And for people to really be on the watch out for God, watching out for God's hands in their lives. And so I'm using my book as a way for them to look at and watch out for God in their lives, you know? So that's that book. And my other book is about my teaching experience. And as a teacher in New York City for almost 18 years, and how the Bible and merging it into my teaching experience helped me connect with my children as I was working, and what that was like, and my whole experience coming from Arkansas, a country girl, and teaching in Harlem, New York, you know, and what that transition was like. So that's it.
Oh, that sounds fun. I look forward to seeing those when you're ready.
Thank you.
So if someone wanted to reach out to you, where would they go?
Well, they have several ways. So they can follow me on Instagram and DM me on Instagram. It's under Melika Miller on Instagram, Melika Miller, on Facebook, on LinkedIn. Also, they can email me, gmelika22@gmail.com. That's more my personal email. info@melikamiller.com. I check that one periodically. So there's different ways that they can reach out to me.
Great. And we will make sure and include all of those in when we're ready. After we've wrapped up in the video, we'll make sure to include all of those in the box. And so that way people can click right on those links and get connected with you. We wish you all the very best. Thank you so much for doing this interview with me. And I'm excited to do the next ones when you've got the next books done.
Thank you so much, Lori. I appreciate you doing this with me too, and just your courage to sit with me and talk to me about this.
Oh, thank you. This is Lori wrapping it up from Lori's Corner at EJ's Downtime. Thanks so much.